Welcome back. The dreams were your ticket out. Welcome back to that same old place that you laughed about. Well, the names have all changed since you've hung around, but those dreams that remain have been turned around. Who'd have thought they laid ya? Who'd have thought they laid ya? Back here where we need ya. Cause we got him on the spot. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Every one of us comes into this world with an open mind, an endless curiosity, boundless energy, and a sense of wonder about the world around us. Research reveals that the first 10 years of our lives deeply shapes who we become, our behavior, and our future well-being. And much of that time span is at our elementary school. And this was my school, and my big sister's school, John F. Kennedy Elementary in Middletown, Rhode Island. I came back here today because I wanted to remember what it was like to walk the hallways, explore the schoolyard, remember the teachers and staff that left a positive, indelible mark in my memory, and just to kind of remember those long ago days. This is being recorded in the year 2025, and if you've kept up with the local news, you may have realized that the days of existence of this school are probably coming to an end. So I particularly wanted to get back here before that happened. I realize that the tour we're going to take today are from my memories from the latter half of the 1970s when I attended here, but I do hope that others who attended in different times with different teachers will find a sense of connection and value and meaning from it, because this was our school, the Kennedy School, and it will always be our school, even when it is gone. But before we go inside, here's a little history on how the school came to be.
100 years ago, Middletown was mostly farmland. The folks who lived here were educated farmers whose ancestral families had long ago broken off from Newport to form their own town. On this 1921 map, you may recognize many of the family farm names that are still familiar today from the roads and places that bear their surnames. West Main Road ran alongside these farms. The land in this area was high up from the shore and had some of the best soil on Aquidneck Island. The plot of land that John F. Kennedy Elementary School would later be built on was near the Fred W. Smythe Farm and the Island Cemetery Corporation. Since the War of Independence to the present day, the U.S. Navy has played an important part in the Narragansett Bay region, and particularly after World War II, the Navy greatly expanded its presence in Middletown. In the 1950s, to accommodate the Atlantic destroyer fleet, Piers 1 and 2 were built, along with training, naval supply, and public works facilities. This brought an influx of personnel and families to the town, creating an urgent need for more public school space to educate the children of this naval workforce. Superintendent of Schools Joseph H. Gourdet oversaw this task, and as reported in Newport Daily News on January 11, 1963, the Middletown School Committee awarded a $440,000 contract for the construction of a new elementary school on West Main Road to the firm Bacon and McLeish of Middletown. The firm said it was possible to have the construction of the new school completed by September of that same year, and they weren't that far off in their estimation. The school building was ready for students by December of 1963. The new school was called the Anchorage School. The name reflected the Anchorage military housing development that was located within the vicinity of the newly built school. This neighborhood is still there today, just off of Coddington Highway. But as the final touches were being made to ready the new Anchorage School for students, President Kennedy was assassinated. The date was November 22, 1963. The nation was shocked and went into mourning. Many towns and cities considered naming or renaming some of the facilities after the slain president. There was a push by the VFW to rename nearby Portsmouth High School, which was under construction at the time, after President Kennedy, but this did not occur. Also, in Newport, there was a proposal to build a stadium at Rogers High School and name it in honor of JFK, but the idea was considered impractical. However, things went differently in Middletown. On the evening of December 12, 1963, the Middletown School Committee voted to rename the Anchorage School after the departed president. Abe Smith, who was vice chairman, made the motion.
In recognition of the serious loss which this country has sustained, and in grateful memory of his bravery and dedication to the preservation of freedom and peace, I move that our new elementary school, which is now completed and ready for full occupancy, be renamed John Fitzgerald Kennedy Elementary School, and that the clerk be instructed to send a copy of these actions to the Middletown Town Council, to the State Board of Education, and to the deceased President Kennedy's immediate family.
Also, as part of the honor bestowed on the late president, a bust and a sketch portrait of him were later displayed at the new school, thereby introducing new students every year to the legacy of President John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
And that is how our school and its name came to be. From the 1960s all the way to the 2000s, elementary school children in Middletown attended here. In 2009, the school ceased to function as an elementary school, and instead it was leased on a short-term basis for various things from adult education classes to even a Hollywood movie production. In recent times, it's been used by our local police and fire department for training purposes, so I should tell you it's in poor shape and in a bit of disarray. But nevertheless, we are here, and we'll take one more tour of JFK. Let's go around the front.
Welcome back.
And here we are, walking in through the main entrance of the school. Think about how many students, teachers, and staff entered here through the decades. You'll notice right away the missing ceiling tiles, the dusty floor, and the overall condition of things. My understanding is that this is due to the various drills and training that the town fire and police departments conduct here in the building. And now we're peering down the corridor to the south wing of the building. And as we turn back, we see the main doors to the cafeteria. You'll notice sort of a makeshift plywood wall in the cafeteria. Again, this is part of the training the building's been used for. And now we turn and peer down the corridor to the north wing of the building. And here is a reverse angle of the main doors we just walked in from. To your right is where the building dedication plaque hangs. The plaque states the year the school was built along with the names of the people and organizations that contributed to the construction of the school. Next to it is a small plaque from May of 1992. It commemorates the establishment of the walking track that still exists on the north side of the building. Further down the wall, we see some beautiful tile that I don't recall being there when I attended here. On the other side of the main entrance is a small shelf where the bust of John F. Kennedy was placed. You can still see the faded outline of where the nameplate for it once was. The bust is no longer in the building, however, the one pictured here, I believe, resembled the bust that was once displayed at our school. And now we'll move into the office, just off the main entrance. We'll reverse angle and you can see the whole room. During my years here, the counters were arranged a little differently, but overall it's more or less the same. And off from the office is one of the two doors that lead to the principal's office, which we will go into. It doesn't seem that big of a room as I imagined when I was a little kid. The school's first principal was Rose Campagna. She had been a teacher and also a principal at the Oliphant and Linden schools prior. Her career spanned for 32 years before she retired. And now we are back out at the main entrance. As shown on this building layout, beyond the center segment of the building where the office and cafeteria are, the school has essentially 3 parts: a north wing, a south wing, and an annex. We will explore the north wing first. Our first stop to the north wing is the corridor where the wall has a painted mural. This was the wall where kids lined up along at the end of the school day to take the bus home. Someone in the main office would call the bus numbers out over the PA system, and if it was your bus number, you would leave your classroom and line up here along the wall before being led outside to board your bus.
Bus 8 line up. Bus 8.
And now we'll make our way down the corridor. The next stop is the second door to the principal's office. In my time at JFK, John N. Chapman was our principal. He took over the position after Rose Campagna retired in 1971. Mr. Chapman, I understand, was a science teacher prior and also the principal of the Forest Avenue School before coming to JFK. I remember him as a kind, nice person who wore a suit, knew my name, and always said hello to me and others when passing in the hallway. He later retired in 1985. Now, as we approach the north wing, we come to a side hallway near the boys' bathroom. It was here where me and other kids would sometimes monkey around and maybe throw paper balls or an airplane. But of course, if Mr. Chapman happened to turn the corner, any horseplay immediately stopped. Let's proceed to the classrooms in the north wing. I remember these doors well. In my day, this was the part of the building for 4th and 5th graders. Our first stop here is the classroom on the right. I remember this was Mr. Sullivan's room for 4th graders during the 1979-1980 school year. He was my reading teacher. Many of the classrooms at JFK have a movable wall such as this one, allowing for a more collaborative learning environment at times between classes. Here you can see over into what was Miss Peranzino's classroom at the time. And now we've returned to the hallway. And we'll move on to the next room, which in my time, as you already know, was Miss Peranzino's classroom. She was my main 4th grade teacher and one of my favorites. I particularly remember her reading Judy Blume's Tales of a 4th Grade Nothing to the class. We were captivated by the struggles endured by Peter as he dealt with the antics of his brother Fudge.
I put Dribble down on a table. Fudge and Sam and Jenny stood over his bowl. "Oh, turtle," Jenny said. "Yes, Dribble's a turtle. My turtle," I said in a soft voice. "See? See?" Fudge whispered. "They can all see," I told Fudge. "Nice turtle," Sam said. I wondered why he wasn't afraid this time. "What does Dribble do?" Jenny asked. "Do? He doesn't do anything special," I said. "He's a turtle. He does turtle things."
And here we are, back out in the hallway. We passed the girls' bathroom this time. And here we can see down the back hallway of the north wing. There's a Starry Night picture on the wall. That was not here during my time, but I like it. And further down we can see more doors to other classrooms. Some of the memories I have about these hallways is that around Halloween time, they held a haunted house here. It took place in the evening at the end of the school week. The halls were decorated up with spooky things, the lights were turned off, and the teachers, dressed up in costumes, they were the actors who tried to spook you. Your parents would walk through it with you, or sometimes even crawl, because one part of the journey had you crawling through a dark box. I'm sure my folks loved that. It was fun. And now we're coming to the part of the building where in my time I remember were the 5th grade classrooms. I was only here for a few months of my 5th grade year, but if I recall, my teacher's name was Miss Walters. This was her classroom. Let's take a quick peek. Back out in the hallway, and through the second set of double doors, we find ourselves back near the beginning of the north wing where we started. And there, to our right, through those doors, led to what many kids might say was the best part of school. Recess, which was the most fun part of the day, and in my time, kickball was the activity of choice, which we would play right over there. And the monkey bars, which we would climb, were on the lawn over here. This was also the area where we had field day every spring near the end of the school year. It was a contest between classes and various activities. Our gym teacher ran the whole enterprise, and he was rather creative with the different types of activities he came up with. One of them involved milk crates and bean bags. It was a race to fill the milk crates with the bean bags and then a race to empty them. But by far, the most celebrated contest was the tug of war. The class that won that contest had bragging rights for the rest of the school year. And you know, I don't want to boast, but 1980's Miss Perenzino's 4th grade class, in an upset, we beat Mr. Sullivan's class and took the blue ribbon. But you know, it's not like I still have the ribbon framed at home in a place of honor or anything. I'm kidding. But yes, this is where it all took place. Ah, the bell. Time to go back inside. Back in the building, our next stop will be the cafeteria. We are going to enter through this back, narrow hallway, as shown here. This was the hallway kids would line up in to await their turn at getting hot lunch. As we enter, you can get a wide view of the cafeteria. Of course, the plywood structure used for the aforementioned training was not here when this was a functioning school. And if we reverse angle, you'll see the door from the hallway we just walked in from. Here is the window students would leave their trays at when they were finished with lunch. And as we move along, we come to a window where the lunch ladies would place food onto our trays. I particularly remember they would often serve sliced red beets back in those days, and most of the kids would never touch it. I was one of them. I think it was just because it looked odd. But finally, on a dare in my 5th grade year, I ate one. And you know what? I liked it. And here's a look at the kitchen area where the lunch ladies worked. Now we are going to enter the cafeteria again to provide a different perspective. This time we will enter through the double doors out by the main entrance of the school. You may remember this high, wood-paneled ceiling with fun, colorful beams. And now we'll pan down to the stage area of the room. When I attended JFK, this was a full-fledged stage with curtains. Though sometime later it appears the curtains were removed and most of the depth of the stage was walled off to create a work area for teacher assistants. But I fondly remember participating in school plays on this stage, from Mary Poppins to Oliver. Often, after school performances, parents, including my own, would take their kids for ice cream to a hometown favorite, Colonial Ice Cream Parlor. The establishment was diagonally across the street from the school where Town Fair Tire is today. And now we'll move on to another part of the school. But as we do, I wanted to show you something that I spotted in the side storage room just off from the cafeteria. It's the sketch portrait of President Kennedy, the one that used to hang in the school.
For in the final analysis, our most basic common link is that we all inhabit this small planet. We all breathe the same air. We all cherish our children's future, and we are all mortal.
And now we'll visit the south wing of the building. On our way there, our first stop will be the teacher's room. When I was a student, this room was a bit of a mystery. For all us kids knew, there was a chocolate river beyond this doorway that led to a mystical land of spelling books and multiplication tables. But apparently, it seems to be simply a room where teachers ate their lunch. The next room we'll pass is the nurse's office. Fortunately, I never spent much time there. And here we've arrived in the south wing. It mirrors the north wing in its classroom layout. In my day, this part of the building was for second and third graders, so in a sense, we are going further back in time for me, and memories are getting a bit fuzzier. Now we'll reverse angle and look down towards the double doors at where we just were. My third grade teacher was Miss Medeiros, and I believe this was her classroom. Some of the memories I have from these school years are from a music period we had. A music teacher would visit our classroom every other week as she alternated with the art teacher. She would bring a box of various instruments for us to see and try. We would usually fight over who got the tambourine. She also brought along and played an acoustic guitar in which she taught us to sing songs from Peter, Paul, and Mary, and also songs the Carpenters sang.
Sing a song, make it simple to last your whole life. Don't worry if it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Sing a song.
And now we'll turn back down the hall, and this time we pass the boys' room in the south wing. And here we can see the other classrooms on this side of the building. Once or twice a year there would be a field trip where several classes would all go together. A popular field trip destination during my time was Hammersmith Farm in Newport. It was the estate that Jacqueline Kennedy grew up on, and later functioned as a summer White House for President Kennedy. Next, I want to take you to a room that served as the school's library back when I attended here. Years ago, this room was lined with shelves on which were many books to choose from. I remember sometime around first or second grade checking out a book here called Red Tag Comes Back. It was about the journey of a red tag salmon that leaves the river in which it was born and swims out to sea, only then to return one day to lay its eggs in the same riverbed it was born in. And so we'll move back down the hall. Somewhere in this neck of the woods was my second grade classroom. My teacher was Miss Oliveira. There was also a Miss Cataray. She was my big sister's second grade teacher. In addition, there was Mrs. Huppy. She taught third grade. This was the era before photocopiers, when teachers used mimeograph or ditto machines to make copies of school papers. In my third grade year, all the third grade classes read the textbook From Faraway Places, where one of the units covered in the book was the culture of Japan and haiku poetry. So, as a fun project for it, Mrs. Huppy had every third grader write their own haiku poem along with a little drawing, and she had them all printed up on a mimeograph machine to form a little booklet that we could take home. It was neat. Mrs. Huppy later went on to become principal of the Aquidneck Elementary School, just across town. And so this brings us to the end of the south wing, and to the ramp that leads to the annex. In the 1970s, the annex part of the building was where the kindergarten and first grade classes were. so now my memory is getting very fuzzy on things. But I do remember where my assigned classrooms were. Here you can see, as noted before, things inside the building are not in good shape. Down the hall, we see the various classrooms in the annex. And here's my first grade classroom. My teacher's name was Mrs. Sullivan, and I believe she was the mother of the school's fourth grade teacher, Mr. Sullivan. Here's a picture of my class. Now we'll continue down the hall. I wasn't able to get the hallway lights to come on. Not sure if it was the lights themselves or if I just couldn't find the right switch. And now we've arrived at my very first classroom at JFK. I'm about 50 years late for roll call. This was my kindergarten class. My teacher's name was Miss Oliveira. Not the same Miss Oliveira who was my second grade teacher. It's just a common last name in these parts. I don't have many memories of this time, but I do recall it was just before the country's bicentennial, and one of the spring projects we did was to make little Minutemen out of construction paper. And now we'll exit the room, and in the classroom across the hall, I noticed something. There appears to be a leak in the roof over this room. It's kind of depressing. But I want to end our tour by showing you something cheerful. Let's step outside. What I want to show you is right over here in the courtyard. It's this beautiful, wonderful linden tree. On a layout of the school, they called this outside area the Butterfly Garden. On one side of the courtyard is a set of classrooms, one of which was mine in first grade. Seeing the courtyard now makes me think about the generations of kids who attended this school, looked out those windows, and found themselves simply in awe of this tree. Trees and children alike, they grow up. So I have to say it will be very disheartening to see this tree taken down when they redevelop this land. On the other side of the courtyard are the windows to the room that was the library when I attended here. And one of the books in that library was The Lorax by Dr. Seuss, in which he wrote about trees.
But now, says the Onceler, now that you're here, the word of the Lorax seems perfectly clear. Unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So, catch, calls the Onceler. He lets something fall. It's a truffula seed. It's the last one of all. You're in charge of the last of the truffula seeds, and truffula trees are what everyone needs.
So that's our school, from one side of the building to the other. And I have to admit to feeling a little melancholy at seeing the state of it. The place is a shadow of what it once was. But there was a time when this school was filled with life and vibrancy, a place where enthusiastic youngsters came to learn about the world around them, and a caring staff shepherded their way. But those days live now, only in our memories. of sad to see the way the school is now, and knowing that it probably won't be here much longer. But it's important to remember the positive impact it had on the lives of the students who attended here and the people who worked here. It played a vital part in the fabric of our lives, shaping who we are and what we would go on to know and care about. From the friendships made here, to the teachers that had a lasting impact, to the staff that looked out for the kids. It all made a difference. You know, Agatha Christie, the writer, once expressed that one should not look back for too long, that the essence of life is moving forward. And so we do. But I think one of the most important things to hang on to from those elementary school days is that glowing childhood spirit, that sense of wonder. Hang on to that. Stay young at heart. Still, I will miss this place when it's gone. Well, Ollie Ollie Oxenford. Take care.
Sing a song, make it simple to last your whole life. Don't worry if it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Sing a song. Sing